All right, eighth graders, we're back. Hopefully the internet can hold up here. Where I was at was talking about adding, subtracting scientific notation. We ended up understanding that we have to get our exponents the same, and then we apply Lars. We got our final answer here, and that fits the rules for scientific notation. Okay, I'm going to do one more scientific notation, and then we'll get into something different. Um, we're going to subtract this time. So we're going to be subtracting using scientific notation. Let me find an example here for us. Let's go something like this. Once again, you can write this down and practice solving it by pushing pause on your screen, and then I will go over the answers on my screen. Okay, so definitely a subtraction problem. We need to look at our exponents. We cannot just do 5 minus 9.3. That doesn't follow the rules. So we pick a number that we like. Doesn't matter which one you want to do. Be careful. We have two negative numbers here, -3 and -5. I'm going to make this -3. I want to make this -3 into a -5. Okay. You don't have to pick 3. You could have picked 5. It doesn't matter. I'm going to make -3, -5. So how do I get from -3 to -5? Be careful. I'm going to subtract 2. Okay. Because -3 minus 2 will give you my -5. Now, again, Lars. I subtracted -3 minus 2. So I subtracted 2. So that means I'm going to move right 2. So my decimal with this number, the 5, it's invisible, but it's at the end of it. So I'm going to move the decimal, which is right here, over 2 spots. So I'm going to move it over 1, 2. So my first number now is 500. Oops. Okay, times 10 to the -5th minus 9.3 times 10 to the -5th. Now I have the same exponent, so I'm going to subtract now. Don't worry about this number being gigantic. It's all easily fixable by just moving a decimal point. So we might have to do that in a minute. 500, take away 9.3. 490.7 times 10 to the -5th. Now, before we decide this is our final answer, we want to see, does this equation follow my rules for scientific notation? Okay, 490, does that fall between 1 and 10? Well, clearly it does not. We are in the family of 490, so we've got to do some work here. Okay, now luckily for us, there's a decimal. We can move it as many places as we need to so that my first number falls between 1 and 10. So if I look at 490.7, I'm going to move it over. One here, that'd be 49, and another one, 2, that would put me at 4.907. Now this number falls between 1 and 10. It's in the family of 4. Okay, now there are some rules. Since I went left, I had to move my decimal left. Okay, I'm going to add, in this case, 2. I'm going to add 2 to my exponent. So -5 plus 2 puts me at -3. So after I do all of that, this is my final answer. So Lars is sort of like a puppet. Okay, puppet has strings. When you move left, you have to add. If you add, you got to go left. If you move right, you got to subtract. If you subtract, you got to go right. Reason why it's like a puppet has strings. You pull one direction, the puppet's hand moves. It's a chain reaction. That's how this is going to work for our adding or subtracting scientific notation. Now, contrary to that would be our multiplying. When we multiply and divide, we do not need common exponents. We can just start multiplying or start dividing, whatever our task is. Okay. Now, there are still rules for this. Okay. First of all, we need to be able to realize that this problem is multiplication. We have parentheses next to parentheses. That means times. Unfortunately, there will not be a time sign on your test tomorrow. Okay. We just need to know that. So, multiplication. I'm going to take my front number and I'm going to multiply it by that front number. Okay. These two are going to get multiplied together. That's step one. I don't have to worry about whether my exponents are the same right now. I don't care about that. I'm going to start by multiplying. So 8.4 times 2.5. Okay, I get 21. Okay, 21. Now remember, my decimal is at the end of that number. I'm going to have to know that here in a minute. 21 times 10. Now, since I multiplied here, I'm going to add my exponents. That's the rule. So I'm going to take -7 plus -2. Again, when I multiply, I'm going to add exponents. What is -7 plus -2? Well, that's -9. Okay. Now, this could be your final answer. You could be done on some problems and we're good to go. However, this one is not done correctly. Our first number is larger than 10. Remember, scientific notation, our first number can't exceed 10. So we're going to move our decimal, which is right here. Okay. We're going to move it over one place. By moving it over one place, our first number now is 2.1 times 10. Now, let's refer to Lars, our good friend Lars. Think back. This was at 21. I had to move my decimal to the left one spot. Okay? Left and add go together. I moved it over one spot. I'm going to add 1 to the exponent. Okay, that's the rule there. -9 plus 1 is -8. This is my final answer for multiplying that in scientific notation. Okay. Another one that you might encounter would be dividing. Okay, dividing using scientific notation. Let's try this one. This one was from your study guide. Again, practice this. Push pause on my video. See if you can get this without looking at your study guide. I'm sure you don't remember it anyways. This little line here is a division sign, okay? It's a division sign. It's in the family of fractions, but this means divide. So step one, I don't have to worry about my exponents being the same to multiply or divide. I simply, step one, take my top number, 1.1, and I'm going to divide it to the bottom number. So 1.1 divided by 1.6. Okay, on my end of the deal here, I got 0.